And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Simulated Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, as tonight the Mets take on the Houston Astros. SNY presenting this game, MLB The Show 20 on PlayStation 4. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets get their first look at the scandal-ridden Astros, who were the subject of most of the off-season conversation in baseball. We'll talk more about that as the game goes along. As for the simulated Mets in 2020, off to a slow start at 2-7, but things looking up. Michael Conforto got back in the lineup on Sunday, hit a home run in a Mets win, and today, for the first time in nearly 2 years, Yoenis Cespedes is back in the lineup for the Mets.
Well, the Mets, Gary, have not been hitting as a team. They've been struggling. In Conforto's return, he had a home run, got 2 base hits, drove in a couple runs. A big plus for the Mets, and of course Cespedes. We all know what he can do, what he did in 2015. The Mets never would have got to the postseason or the World Series without him. It was incredible what he did that second half of the season. He's missed a couple years, and this is his big debut, and he'll be DHing.
Double heel surgery, a confrontation with a wild boar, and now finally number 52 back in the lineup for the Mets. He'll be DHing tonight. As for the pitching matchup, we couldn't ask for anything more, Ronnie, than a matchup of the 2 defending Cy Young Award winners, Jacob deGrom and Justin Verlander.
You know, Gary, the digital deGrom has been as advertised. He's been outstanding. The first 2 starts, shocking. Got a no decision in his first start, went 6 strong innings, beat the Phillies in his last start, going 7. 20 strikeouts in his first 2 starts. And Justin Verlander, who won the Cy Young, his second to go along with an MVP in his career, has struggled so far out of the gate.
37 years old, so we'll keep our eye on Verlander and see whether he can keep up his high level of performance. It's the Mets and the Astros from virtual Minute Maid Park. All the action coming up on SNY. Justin Verlander on the mound for the Astros tonight. 21 wins last year, his second Cy Young Award, and he'll be making his 3rd start of this virtual season.
You know, Gary had just an amazing season last year. 300 punch-outs, 21 wins, 34 starts, and his innings pitched all led the American League.
Brandon Nimmo leads off for New York.
Well, Brandon's off to a tough start coming into the game, hitting 184, but he's getting his walks and being productive as far as getting on base and finding a way to score, which is Brandon's game.
It was a conversation all during spring training as to whether Nimmo or Jeff McNeil would get the primary leadoff duty for New York. Luis Rojas settling in tonight with Nimmo hitting first and McNeil second. And Verlander falls behind Nimmo 2-0.
You know, Gary, Nimmo with a career 387 on-base percentage, he was always, to me, the best choice.
He brings such a different style as a leadoff hitter than McNeil, as Nimmo fouls it away. I mean, McNeil is so much of a more aggressive hitter out of the leadoff spot, whereas Nimmo is much more attuned to working deep counts and drawing walks. Came back last September with a terrific finish after missing most of the season because of the neck injury. And Verlander falls behind him 3-1.
And I know in spring training they led McNeil off a lot, but I like this tandem with Nimmo leading off because of the fact that he has the high on-base percentage, draws a lot of walks, and you get McNeil in the 2 spot. There's ball 4 right there, typical Nimmo right there getting the Mets started. But McNeil also handles the bat and is a guy that can situational hit, and I like him in the 2 hole.
So we just saw something that we would never see in real life.
Right.
Brandon Nimmo jogging to first base. And there's something you'd never see in real life. Jeff McNeil taking a first pitch fastball for a strike. So we got to get used to this digital environment where things may not be quite what they normally seem to be.
I think this computer
and McNeil lines one that's into right field for a base hit, and the Mets have the first 2 men on against Verlander.
Well, there's a ball up and away, not a good pitch, but look at that, just a little flick of the wrist. Such great bat control that McNeil has.
So now Michael Conforto hitting in the 3 spot. With Cespedes back in the lineup tonight as Garrett Stubbs, the Astros catcher, knocks that one down. You've got Conforto in the 3-hole, Alonso hitting cleanup, and Cespedes number 5. Quite a formidable middle of the batting order.
Well, it's interesting that they put the stack the 3 left-hand hitters, a 1, 2, 3 in the top of the order.
1-1 to Conforto. 33 home runs a year ago for Michael. Missed the start of the season with an oblique injury. Came back Sunday, hit a home run against the Nats in the Mets victory. Mets began the year 1-7 in this digital configuration. Got a win on Sunday and now trying to make it 2 straight. Grounded to the right side. Altuve gets the out at second. The relay by Correa not in time. Nimmo goes to third, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Well, there's another part of Michael's game that's much overlooked. Of course, the 30-plus home runs last year, but Conforto runs well for a big guy.
Altuve taking his time getting that ball probably cost him any chance he might have had to turn 2. Here's Pete Alonso with first and third and 1 out. Pete's hit 3 home runs so far in the digital season. And the breaking ball from Verlander is down. Another stop by Stubbs. 1-0. Alonso picking up right where he left off last year in his historic rookie season. 53 home runs to break the all-time record and shatter the Mets single-season record as well.
Tough at bat here, though, for Pete. Verlander 590 strikeouts in the last 2 years.
It really is a testament to where the game has gone that Verlander struck out 300 last year and didn't lead the league.
That's right. His teammate did.
Didn't even lead his own team. And Alonso takes one just down. And that fills the count of 3-2. And there is Yoenis Cespedes getting ready for his first at bat since July of 2018. Waiting on deck. And Alonso shoots one foul, still 3-2.
Elevated fastball there by Verlander, who has used that the last couple of years since joining Houston.
And Alonso lifts one out to center. That should get the run home. Springer is there to make the catch. Tagging at third is Nimmo, who come down the line to score. And the Mets have the early lead on a sacrifice fly by Pete Alonso. 1-0 New York.
Well, good at bat by Pete here. Fell behind the count, fouled off some tough pitches, and then finally got one here and gets the run home. That is Pete's 5th RBI of the season.
So 2 out. Conforto still at first. And here is Cespedes. And he takes one for a strike.
Quite a formidable lineup. A bit surprised, as I mentioned earlier, that Luis Rojas would go with the 3 left-handers at the top of the order. You know, you have the option to put Alonso third and Conforto fourth, and you have that right-left-right combination there to kind of break it up. But either way you look at it, I mean, with Alonso and Cespedes, my goodness, 2 big, powerful power hitters.
And he waves at the slider from Verlander, and it's 1-2.
But because of the missed games in the last 3 seasons, what can you expect?
1-2 coming. And Cespedes goes down on strikes. Verlander has his first strikeout. Mets cash a run in the first inning on the Alonso sacrifice fly. And they hand Jacob deGrom a 1-0 lead as deGrom gets set to take the mound. And there is the 2-time defending National League Cy Young Award winner, Jacob deGrom, getting set to make his 3rd start of the season.
As I said in the open, the digital deGrom has been pretty good so far, and no decision and a win in his last start against the Phillies. Look at that one number, 20 punch-outs so far in his first 2 starts.
Michael Brantley will lead off for the Astros. Dusty Baker going with Brantley in the leadoff spot. George Springer, who has been so effective as the leadoff hitter for the Astros over the last few years, hitting 6th tonight. And deGrom misses away with his first 1-ball 1.
Brantley was always bummed in spring training, or what we had of spring training this year, because fans kept booing him. He wasn't there when they were supposedly cheating.
Well, you know what comes to mind is you can hear very little from the crowd tonight. It almost feels like you're playing in a library, which would mean that any sound that might be emanating from the dugout, say the sound of a trash can being banged, would be quite formidable. That's under the glove of DeGrom and into center field, and Brantley's got a leadoff hit.
Yeah, I think that would definitely raise a red flag, Gare. Well, fastball tried to come inside. The ball bled back over the inner half, and Brantley really is an accomplished hitter. He's a nice player.
Here's Alex Bregman hitting second in the order. Bregman had an MVP caliber year last year, finished second in the MVP balloting. Pretty close race against Mike Trout. Bregman, 41 home runs, 112 runs batted in last year, and did a pretty nice job filling in his shortstop when Carlos Correa was down.
And it's just too bad. The fine seasons, and then with the cheating scandal, the stealing of the sign, just kind of casts a dark shadow over this ball club and what these players individually have accomplished over that period. And it'll be very curious to see going forward, Gary, Ron, how Correa performs, Springer, these guys, if their numbers stay where they were the last 3 seasons.
And DeGrom gets Bregman swinging for the first out.
A lot of digital sliders so far early in this game from Jacob DeGrom.
Jake struck out 255 last year in 204 innings, en route to his second consecutive Cy Young. Here's Jose Altuve, and Ramos knocks down the breaking ball in the dirt for ball 1. Altuve, 3-time batting champion, MVP in the tainted 2017 season.
Looks a lot beefier digitally to me. I don't know about you guys.
But he's got that beard digitally. Really looks cut fine. Very fine angles.
Can't get a good look at the neck tattoo from this angle. Here's the 2-0. And he flies one out to center field, and Nimmo is there and puts it away for the second out. So Altuve retired on a fly ball. This game not only features both of last year's Cy Young Award winners, it also features both of last year's Rookies of the Year, Pete Alonso for the Mets, and this guy, Yordan Alvarez, for the Astros. Alvarez played in just 87 games last year, drove in 78 runs, 27 home runs. He had a McCovey-esque rookie season. Anonymous umpires.
Very good posture on that umpire.
I wonder why the real umpires don't get included in the video games.
They need to talk to their union, Gary.
Yeah, it's a licensing money question, I would believe.
Can't say I like how the hat looks.
Looks a little large, doesn't it, on his head? And Alvarez with a weak cut.
Almost like the second coming of the Great Gazoo.
You mentioned...
oh, like the David Wright helmet in Colorado? Remember that one? And Alvarez goes down swinging. That's the second strikeout for DeGrom. So after giving up a leadoff hit, DeGrom retires 3 in a row with a couple of punch-outs. After 1, Mets 1, Astros nothing. Second inning in Houston, and the former Astro, J.D. Davis, will make his first Houston appearance since the Mets picked him up from the Astros 2 winters ago. J.D. made quite a name for himself last year, hit .307 with 22 home runs, off to a good start digitally in 2020 as well.
Yes, he is. .324 on this young season, first nine games. He's got to be a little bit worried with Cespedes' return. How much playing time will he lose?
Well, the interesting part about Cespedes making his return tonight is that it was a fortuitous point in the schedule that he was eligible to come off when the Mets were playing in an American League ballpark. Now, whether Cespedes can go out there and play left field on a regular basis right now, I think remains to be seen. Right now, he's in a DH role, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to play the outfield going forward. But the Mets have some options with Davis. They could, move Jeff McNeil over, get some playing time at second, and play Davis at third if need be. Gives them a little flexibility.
It's a rookie manager. Luis Rojas has a lot of versatile players that he can scramble around and get them their playing time.
You always got to have some butterflies, don't you, when you go back to the team that drafted you and you didn't quite make it there and you had a big year last year for the Mets?
Fly down the right side, and that'll slice away and go foul. It's got to be a little different when you come from a team where you didn't play particularly well, and now you've established yourself. Chases, and he's down on strikes for the first out. Second strikeout for Verlander.
Both pitchers so far, a heavy usage of the breaking ball digitally.
Verlander throwing a lot of pitches early in this game. 30 pitches to the first 6 hitters. Here's Robinson Cano, and he takes one wide. Cano just trying to stay healthy this year. Injuries to his legs last year, got hit in the hand several times, limited him to 390 at-bats, hit just 256. He flies this one down the left field side, go foul.
Well, I look for Cano, if he can stay healthy, to have a nice bounce-back season. He has not lost his bat speed, Gary.
Cano running it out on that foul ball.
You know what I find interesting is that he's down in the 7th in the order. Mickey Callaway last year was so adamant about keeping him in that 3rd spot. I like 6 or 7 for him in the lineup.
I think with all the bats that you've got now on this team, I don't think you can make a case for Cano hitting 3rd. He goes down on strikes, a back-to-back strikeouts for Verlander to start the 2nd, and there's 2 out.
I mean, what Verlander has done the last couple of seasons at 35 and 36 is remarkable. To still be the same pitcher he was in his MVP and Cy Young year in 2011.
And Wilson takes a strike. Looks like Digital Romps has dropped a couple of pounds.
He looks terrific. And he is a hitter. Last season, really, remember the first half, folks, he was using primarily the opposite field. And all of a sudden, in July, he started pulling and hitting with a little more power, but he's always a good clutch bat. And I think one of the best professional hitters in the game today.
Ramos hitting 8th in the order. Ahmed Rosario 9-hole. He would be next. 1-2 coming from Verlander. And he shoots one on the ground down to first. Nice play by Gurriel. He has to go after it and makes the backhand flip to Verlander to retire the side. So Verlander gets the Mets 1-2-3 in the 2nd. 1-0 New York here at Minute Maid Park.
That certainly was a backhand flip. My goodness. Jesus, Gurriel doing that? You got to be kidding me.
You see some stuff in these digital games that you might not see in real life.
I think they got to reprogram the computer.
And here is Gurriel leading off for the Astros in the 2nd. And DeGrom misses up and in for ball 1. Gurriel last year, 31 home runs, 104 driven in. Now 35 years old, in the last year of the 5-year contract that he signed when he came over from Cuba.
Like I think didn't have enough to worry about. Springer, Brantley, and Gurriel are all free agents after this year.
Keith, I think everybody was surprised with how well Gurriel adapted to playing first base. He had a very good defensive year last year.
Well, it's tough to make an assessment when we only see the Astros we're only going to see them. We see them. They're going to play them twice, home and away, this season, and it's 6 games. We didn't see him at all, obviously, last year, but he's made the transition well. He has not been a negative at first base.
So Gurriel with a leadoff hit, second straight inning that the Astros have had a leadoff base hit against DeGrom. Oh, there's Morbid.
Tired.
Oh boy.
Morbid's put on a few pounds. Here's George Springer. Speaking of mascots, by the way, did you see that they had to redesign the Philadelphia Fanatic?
Yeah, like the patents ran out or something, right?
Right. To avoid a legal battle, they had to make some tweaks to the Fanatic to make it a somewhat different mascot. I'm not sure if I'm on board with that or not.
Oh, I have to.
0-2 to Springer.
That's my first sigh.
And DeGrom gets him looking for the first out. Third strikeout for DeGrom, 1 out in the second.
You can even buckle the hitter's knees in the digital world. I love it.
Go grab some pine.
So 1 out and 1 on. Here's Carlos Correa.
Well, where was that pitch?
Well, you've got the box there, Keith. So you should be able to scan those balls and strikes pretty easily.
I mean, the digital umpire shouldn't miss a call.
Do you think that the umpires in real life would like it if they were anonymous? They didn't have their names announced to the public? Like is the case in this digital game?
The umpires I knew, Gary, they got egos too. They love going out there with their number and their name on the back and their Emily's in the stands. And
certainly.
Yep.
And it seems as though someday soon we might have umpires on microphones as well. And Ramos chasing that down just in case Correa swung, which he did not. And the count 2-2.
Elocution lessons are all sold out.
Well, they'll give the phones to explain plays while they take away the responsibility of calling balls and strikes someday soon. That's below the knees and a full count to Correa. How do you guys feel about digital umpires?
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not either.
They're having difficulty, right? Evidently, they're having a hard time with the.
But eventually they'll straighten it out. 3-2 coming, and Correa down on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for DeGrom, and they're at 2 down.
No,
how can you argue with an umpire?
They are definitely
argue.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to have the robotic umpires and the robotic strike zone, and that's definitely going to happen. I just I don't know. So far, the being able to get the technology to change the strike zone from each hitter. What happens if you have a Cal Ripken kind of situation where a certain player changes his stance 4 or 5 different times during the course of a season? I don't know.
Or how about changing your stance in the course of a game?
There you go, at bat.
Remember Pete Rose, Ron? When Pete Rose would get up late in the game with a game on the line, he'd get more crouched to try to get on base.
Rod Carew changed his stance all the time.
Yeah.
Josh Reddick swings at the inside fastball, misses, and it's 2-1.
I just think it's so hard for umpires and all the noise that they'll hear on social media about. There were 18 balls missed in last night's postseason game. It's very difficult.
Well, we've reached the point now where they get graded on every game based on the available technology. So putting that technology to use to call the balls and strikes initially is happening at some point. The question is when. Pulled foul by Reddick. And a full count, 3-2. So Gurriel will be in motion. 3-2 from DeGrom, and he gets him swinging. DeGrom strikes out 3 in a row after a leadoff hit. He's got 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. So DeGrom in midseason mode after 2 in Houston. Mets 1, Astros nothing.
They're cheering out a strikeout, by the way.
I believe the future may not be now anymore for the Astros. Here's Ahmed Rosario, hitting ninth in the order, facing Justin Verlander, who gave up a run in the first inning. And Rosario takes high.
Rosario drove in, 72 runs last season and hitting 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9, led off a few times, more than a few times. He had a very productive season.
He had a lot of success over the last couple of years, batting ninth. And in the American League Park, this is the perfect role for him.
Yes. Gives you a second leadoff hitter.
Verlander behind 3-0. And that just missed, ball 4, and it's a leadoff walk to Rosario. Second time in 3 innings that Verlander has walked the leadoff hitter. First time it cost him a run.
You know what I find?
I think Digital Justin wanted that call.
Yes, he did.
So here's Nimmo, who walked and scored the only run of this game in the first inning.
It looks like the digital computer has got Brandon with a little goatee work there. Now that's bad direction right there, folks. And when I say the camera should have gone right on the goatee.
Unfortunately, we don't have John DeMarsico calling the shots from the truck. We are dependent on the MLB The Show choice of camera angles.
So digital John DeMarsico fell asleep at the switch.
New daddy, digital John DeMarsico. Congratulations, John and Brenna. There are some ugly hacks in this computer game, let me tell you.
They're all low ball hitters, Gary.
Let me ask you a question. Why are the parks not filled in a digital game?
Really? That's a good point. Maybe it's too much work.
Well, it's a night game in April. Maybe they're, staying true to reality, right? What's the likelihood of a Tuesday night game in April filling it? Or maybe we're playing this game under social distancing rules.
Oh.
So that, the fans can't be too close together. It might be the transitional mode when real baseball comes back.
Oh, change up right there. Look at that. Camera work. Got Nimmo out in front.
That was an outstanding angle, by the way. We should give credit where credit is due to the digital director.
That's right. Good job, John.
So Nimmo down on strikes for the first out, and here's Jeff McNeil. And McNeil takes a strike. McNeil had a base hit into right field his first time up. Brought his average up to 325 for the digital season. That's about where you expect it to be. Such an interesting year for McNeil last year in that he hit for the high average in the first half, and he hit for more power in the second half. The overall numbers, if you look at OPS, were almost identical. They just went about it in a different way.
Verlander, a complete pitcher. He's always been very good at holding the runners on first.
Rosario running, and Stubbs guns him down, and that's the second out.
Well, perfect throw from Stubbs, right on the mark, and you can see right there the tag by Correa.
So 2 out and nobody on. And there's ball 3 to McNeil. Jeff hit 23 home runs a year ago. And he drives this one out to right, chasing Reddick back onto the warning track. A step from the wall, and Reddick puts it away to retire the side. McNeil made a bid, came up a bit shy. Middle of the third in Houston, still 1-0 New York. The rookie catcher Garrett Stubbs will lead off in the bottom of the third for Houston. Stubbs, the backup to Martin Maldonado with the Astros. Had 35 at-bats with Houston as a rookie last year. And he takes a strike. Stubbs out of USC, a guy who played on the infield and in the outfield in college, considered one of the more athletic catchers coming up through the minor leagues. And DeGrom quickly ahead of him 0-2. And puts him away on 3 pitches. That's 4 consecutive strikeouts for DeGrom and 6 the first time through the batting order.
Yeah, that was kind of a welcome to the big leagues moment, wasn't it? But so far, DeGrom has been just outstanding. Getting ahead of most of the hitters. Walks have been a little bit of an issue early in this season. But when you look at his pitch sequence against the hitters in this game, he has been darting the corners, as he usually does.
So 1 out and nobody on to the top of the batting order for Michael Brantley, who had a base hit to center field, leading off the first inning. And a knee-high fastball for a strike from DeGrom, 0-1. Jake became the 11th pitcher in Major League history to win back-to-back Cy Youngs, and now trying to join even more elite company this year, going for a 3rd in a row. Oh, 2 to Brantley, and he got him looking. 6 pitches, 6 strikes to start the 3rd inning for DeGrom. He's now halfway to Seaver. He struck out 5 in a row.
How about the immaculate inning? Very nice. Changeup looked like inside there.
So now Alex Bregman with 2 out and nobody on. And there goes the immaculate inning. See, you can't mention an immaculate inning.
Oh, geez. You, of all people, telling me that you shouldn't jinx it. That's hilarious.
It's different in the digital world, Ronnie.
This is the bizarro world. That's scary.
We definitely have gone to the other side of the universe, haven't we? DeGrom behind on Bregman 2-0. And didn't get that call in the corner, and it's 3-0. 2 out, nobody on. Bregman at the plate. You have to figure he's got a green light on 3-0. And not exactly the kind of hack you want on a 3-0 pitch.
You got to be careful in this ballpark. It's a short left field porch.
You got that high scoreboard fence in left with the Crawford boxes, just 315 down the line.
And they got the big train up top, Gare, with all those pumpkins.
That was my favorite part about going to Houston, Keith. Oranges, it's Minute Maid Park, and on our case, always pumpkins. That one's flying foul down the right side. Conforto giving chase and gets there to make the catch, and that retires the side. So a 1-2-3 inning for DeGrom in the bottom of the 3rd. On to the 4th we go at Digital Minute Maid Park. Still 1-0 New York. Michael Conforto will lead off for the Mets as we go to the 4th inning in Houston. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Michael hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Facing Justin Verlander, has thrown 52 pitches over the first 3 innings. And Michael takes changeup high for ball 1. It'll be Conforto, then Pete Alonso, and Yoenis Cespedes in this newly formulated part of the batting order for the Mets, with Cespedes making his return to action tonight. Michael fouls one off at the plate, and it's 1-2.
Keith, is Conforto reaching the next level dependent on how he does against left-handed pitching?
Yes, I agree. I think so, Ron. The sky's the limit. If he struggles with the breaking ball and the off-speed stuff, but you know what? He's changed his style. He came up. I thought he had a chance to be win a batting title. Hit by a pitch there to lead off the inning.
Little cheek shot from Verlander.
You see him talking trash? He told him to go to first.
Well, got on top. Oh, that got him right there. Soft spot.
Mets led the league in getting hit by pitches last year. And now Conforto's aboard after getting plunked. leading off in the fourth.
Not shocking to me that in a video game they would talk trash. Makes sense.
I would think there are probably some pretty significant bat flips involved, too. And the slider in for a strike to Alonso.
Boy,
He drove in the only run of this game with a sacrifice fly in the first.
Ronnie, you're absolutely correct. This digital Verlander, he loves his breaking ball.
He does. You know, to remain a power pitcher throughout his career is quite a testament to Verlander and his DNA.
Well, that's true, Ronnie, but I think if you think about it this way, Verlander was always a guy, even when he was throwing, 99 miles an hour, who would leave something in the tank. He's very much of an old school pitcher. He was not max effort every pitch of the game. And I think that might have enabled him to last as long as he has.
Well, that's a great point.
Gets away, and Conforto will go down to second on the wild pitch.
And then also, coming to Houston and getting some of the new analytics to help him be more effective, more economical with his pitches, although hasn't been economical in this game, certainly has helped also.
Well, you recall Charlie Morton, when he came over to the Astros, they were able to look at his pitching style. Ball four there, so the Mets got something going here early, first and second, nobody out. They found out that Morton's break curveball was better than his slider, and Morton had a terrific year before he, as a free agent, went over to Tampa. So there's something to be said about this, the new analytics. There's a lot of good things that can be gleaned from them.
Now here's Cespedes, his second at bat. He struck out his first time up.
Now, I'm just thinking if we were doing this and it wasn't a digital game, it was live, we would lay out and just enjoy the Cespedes at bat, right?
Either that, or we talk about how unprecedented it is for a player to come back from a year and a half on the sidelines after an encounter with a wild boar.
We would have some deep statistical analysis on boar attacks, I'm sure.
Well, Cespedes has stated that if he can play every day and stay healthy, he would hit 40 home runs, and I have every reason to believe him that he goes down for the second time, chasing the bad breaking ball away out of the strike zone again.
Yeah. He's looked a little rusty tonight in his return to action. 2 at-bats, 2 strikeouts, both times chasing the breaking ball from Verlander.
Oh, there's the pitch speed comparison, and DeGrom wins by a nose.
So here's J.D. Davis for his second at-bat. He struck out his first time up in his return to Houston. Conforto at second, Alonso at first with 1 out, and he takes one right down the pipe. 0-1.
Keith, the irony of that is that guys are throwing harder than ever, and they're throwing more breaking balls than ever.
Well, it's become a breaking ball league, Ron.
Yep.
So do you understand the logic of that, Ronnie, that if guys are throwing harder than ever, that they're throwing their fastballs less than ever?
I do, only because of batting average against. When you spin the ball, there's a stark difference. I totally understand that. But the best pitchers still set up that breaking ball with fastball efficiency.
On two coming to Davis. And he goes down swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts for Verlander, and they're 2 out.
Sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to step on you there. But the analytics, they don't tell you. Well, I'm sure they do, but there's individuals, different players in the league that are better breaking ball hitters and are good breaking ball hitters. So you just can't paint with a broad brush.
Well, think about it this way, Keith. Just came to me. Guys, when they're 10, 12, 15 years old, are facing more velocity than they ever have. They're trying to catch up to that velocity. It's made them worse breaking ball hitters.
Tim McCarver told me a story, Ron, Gary. I asked him, I said, how did you pitch Willie Mays? And he said, never threw him a breaking ball. Dick Groat came to me when I was a young player. Dick Groat, MVP for the Pirates, batting champion, I believe 1960. Came over to the Cardinals, was a great shortstop. He was the leader of that team, a veteran, said, you cannot throw Mays breaking balls. You have to go after Mays with fastballs. Ball 4 to Cano there. which I found very interesting and not surprising because Mays was a Hall of Fame player, well, the greatest player I've ever seen, and it makes perfect sense to me that Mays was a great breaking ball hitter.
4-pitch walk to Cano, loads him up with 2 down for Wilson Ramos. Ramos grounded out his first time up, so the Mets with a chance to build on their 1-0 lead. A hit batsman and 2 walks, loading them up. And Verlander really pushing his pitch count, 75 now with 2 out in the 4th. And Ramos shoots one foul, and it's 0-2. Verlander has walked 4, he struck out 6. And Ramos bounces that one foul to stay alive. Ahmed Rosario would be next.
You know, both DeGrom and Verlander have struggled a little bit with their control early this year. You'll see that happen to power pitchers in April.
0-2 coming. And Ramos down swinging, and a little pump in the fist from Verlander as he strikes out 3 in the inning to work around a hit batsman and a couple of walks. Middle of the 4th now in Houston, still 1-0 New York. Glad we had a nice shot of the Chick-fil-A ad on the foul pole. Always special.
I want to see pumpkins.
Here's Jose Altuve. You know what I did see, Keith, a little bit earlier? I saw a shot of a taco stand at Minute Maid Park, and if we were actually in Minute Maid Park, there's every chance we would have been sending down for those tacos
No
at some
question.
point in this game. Altuve grounds one down to Alonso, and he makes that play look easy for the first out.
Pete came out in spring training, said he's working hard on his defense. He wants to be a gold glover. He wants to be a complete player. He's put a lot of time in with his defense. And I think anything he gets to, he's got sure hands.
Here's Yordan Alvarez with 1 out, and he takes down low. DeGrom hasn't walked a batter. He struck out 7 over the first 3 1/3. But he falls behind on Alvarez 2-0. Alvarez got stymied in the League Championship Series last year by the Yankees, but then he came back and had a terrific World Series against the Nationals at over 400 in the World Series, which I thought was a pretty good testament to this rookie and the way he was able to bounce back after he looked just dreadful through those games against the Yankees. There's ball 4, and he's on with a 1-out walk.
You know, Keith was talking about Alonso working on his defense. Alvarez, though, is not that far along in his defense. They're not sure if he's ready to play every day in left field.
So here's Gurriel, who has one of the 2 hits against DeGrom. Tying run at first and 1 out. And Gurriel gets a hold of one to left. Davis going back, looking up at the wall, and he plays the carom. Around third and heading home is Alvarez, and he's going to score a double by Gurriel to tie the game 1-1.
So Gurriel drove in 100 last season, and there he is right there. And there's that short porch there, that high fence we mentioned, kind of a mini green monster over there down the left field line. Well played by Davis off the wall.
So the Astros tie. Good base running by Alvarez. He was off with the crack of the bat and realized that that ball was not going to be in play for Davis, and that's why he was able to score from first on that wall-scraping double. 1-0 to Springer, who struck out his first time up, and he yanks one foul.
Interesting, this lineup today, maybe against DeGrom, but Springer is probably one of the most dynamic leadoff hitters in all the game.
Yeah, I found it a little curious that Dusty Baker would drop him down to 6th. Of course, Dusty has his own way of doing things. He's a breath of fresh air for this Houston team that needed one so badly after their scandal-ridden offseason. Always known as a player's manager, and in the wake of all the bad press that Houston got, rightfully so, for the cheating scandal that tainted their World Championship 2 years ago as Springer goes down on strikes. I think Dusty was the perfect man for the job.
Everywhere Dusty has managed, he's won. The only thing that eludes him is a World Championship, and it was right there for him. I forget the season, Gare, against the Angels. Russ
2002,
Ortiz, taking Russ Ortiz, giving him the game ball when he left the mound, and boy, the Angels came back and snatched the World Series championship.
Gosh, you remember that? It's Game 6, right? And Ortiz had what, a 5-0 lead in that game?
Yep.
Took him out, gave him the ball on the way out, as if to say, "Here's your memento for, winning the series clinching game," and then the Angels came back. 2-2 now to Correa, who struck out his first time up.
Injuries have kept this young shortstop from being one of the better players in the game.
75 games last year, including the famous massage injury. 2-2 coming, and he got him looking, side retired. 9 strikeouts for DeGrom over the first 4 innings as he gets Correa, but Yuli Gurriel ties things up for the Astros. Didn't miss a 2-run homer by much. Scrapes one off that big scoreboard fence and left for a run-scoring double that gets the Astros even, 1-1 as we go to the 5th at Minute Maid Park. Ahmed Rosario will lead off for New York in the 5th against Justin Verlander, who starts the 5th inning having already thrown 78 pitches, so we'll see how deep Verlander can go into this game. He's given up only 1 hit over the first 4 innings, but he's walked 4 and struck out 7, and that has certainly built up his pitch count. Rosario drew a 4-pitch walk his first time up and was caught stealing. And he takes a changeup for a strike from Verlander. Last time the Mets were in Houston was during the 2017 season when the Astros were on their way to a World Series championship, and it was such a tumultuous time in Houston. Verlander had just arrived in the nick of time to be eligible for the postseason, seconds before the deadline on August 31st, and of course Houston was also recovering from a massive hurricane, and it was such a bizarre circumstance when the Mets came to town to visit the Astros that week. They had the games pushed back. They played a doubleheader. We didn't happen to detect any trash can sounds at the time, but I'm sure they were there. 1-2 coming to Rosario, and the breaking ball misses down.
So three consecutive years for the Astros. They acquired Verlander, Wade Miley the next season, and Zach Greinke last year.
Two coming, and Rosario lifts one out to center. Should be easy for Springer, and that's the first out. Of course, the Astros have to adjust this year to life without Garrett Cole. He and Verlander formed such a great 1-2 punch at the top of their rotation last year, and with Cole having signed the enormous deal with the Yankees, that certainly shortens the Astros rotation for 2020. Here's Nemo, who's walked and struck out 0 for 1. Takes it high.
Garrett Cole and Wade Miley took up 42% of those innings by the starting pitching. They need Lance McCullers Jr. maybe to come back strong and fresh.
And Nimmo pokes one the other way, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So Brandon going the other way for an opposite field single, and the Mets have a 1-out base runner.
Now batting. Little backdoor breaking ball, and Brandon goes right with it to the opposite field. Well done.
Just the second hit for the Mets against Verlander, and here's Jeff McNeil, who had the first one. A single to right in the first. He flied out in the third. One within a step of the wall that Reddick was able to reel in to end the third inning.
Well, here's the situation that I like McNeil hitting in the 2-hole with Brandon on base. He's left-handed. He covers, blocks the catcher's view on a steal. And I know the hit and run is no longer vogue in the game, but I know that Jeff McNeil with his bat control would be a terrific hit and run guy, and what's he doing taking that pitch? This is the second pitch he took this game. Very out of character.
I would say this, though. If Luis Rojas is ever going to play hit and run, it's going to be with McNeil at the plate. And that's up and in. 2-1 to McNeil.
Well, this digital umpire, we'll get back to, he doesn't call the high strike, Ron.
Nimmo's running, swung and missed, and Nimmo's a dead duck at second. And Keith, I think that might have been a hit and run play.
Let's take a peek here. Let's see if Nimmo's peeking back. I couldn't tell, but I tell you what, 2 fine throws by Stubbs, the rookie behind the plate. Perfect throws.
The Mets have been caught twice today, Rosario and now Nimmo, 2 out and nobody on. And the breaking ball up and in, 3-2 to McNeil. Mets got their run in the first inning against Verlander, who's tiptoed through some trouble since. Up over 90 pitches working in the 5th inning. And the 3-2. Fly ball out to right. And Reddick is there. And that retires the side. A caught stealing and nobody left. We come halfway. 1-1 in Houston. Josh Reddick leads off in the home 5th inning for the Astros in a 1-1 game. Jacob deGrom has struck out 9 over the first 4 innings, including Reddick to end the second. It'll be Reddick, then Garrett Stubbs and Michael Brantley, 8, 9, and 1 in the Astros order against deGrom in the bottom of the 5th. And Reddick drives one out to right center field. That's going to go up the gap and short hop the wall. Nimmo plays the carom. Reddick heads to second, and he's in standing with a leadoff double. So the Astros have the tie-breaking run in scoring position.
Very unusual, right? 3 times now the leadoff hitter has gone on with a hit against deGrom.
Time he threw a fastball right down the middle, and Reddick got all over it. So some heavy lifting for deGrom here in the 5th. Now I wonder, with a rookie 9th place hitter at the plate, and I know they don't bunt in the American League very often, but would you consider bunting with Stubbs here?
I would
Brantley and Bregman?
Not in the 5th inning. And I don't think you want to put the negative in Stubbs' head. You got to show confidence in the rookie that your manager has faith in you to get it done, get the job done.
I thought he looked so overmatched against deGrom the first time around that maybe Dusty Baker, who's, obviously a National League manager, might think about it.
He wouldn't be the Lone Ranger in Major League Baseball, would he? But deGrom makes a lot of guys look bad.
Yeah, I guess that's so. 2 balls and a strike to Stubbs, who struck out looking his first time up. And a weak hack there, and he fouls it off, and it's 2-2.
Stubbs trying to replace Robinson Chirinos, who did a lot of good work, especially in the postseason for the Astros last year.
Probably not the hitter that Chirinos is, as he fouls that one away and stays alive.
But he's been a difference maker, right? He's thrown out 2 would-be stolen bases.
2-2 coming. And he swings and misses at the pitch in the dirt. Ramos makes the throw to first to complete the putout, and that is the 10th strikeout of the night for Jacob deGrom.
Well, when you get ahead, he just has the ability to bury that slider down and in, and Stubbs not ready for deGrom at this point in his career.
Oh, that was a digital ugly hack.
Still sure you wouldn't have bunted? Here's Brantley, who fouled out his first time up. And he flies this one out in foul territory, and there's Alonso to put it away, 2 down. So after the leadoff double by Reddick, a strikeout and a pop-up, and deGrom 2/3 of the way of getting through trouble in a tie game in the 5th. We'll have to get through Alex Bregman, who has struck out and fouled out 0 for 2. deGrom has struck out 10. He's walked only 1. Allowed 1 run and 4 hits over the first 4 2/3.
I think of all the hitters on the Houston team, I'm going to have my eye on Bregman for the year. You know, a lot of the hitters, Altuve, Springer, had success before the cheating scandal. Bregman's has really started and in the middle of his career with this cheating scandal.
You know what I look at with Bregman last year, especially, he walked 119 times, and you wonder, with some knowledge of what's coming, that's got to inform that to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, people always think because they know breaking ball's coming, that means that they're going to have a better chance of hitting the breaking ball. What it really means to me, a lot of times, and I don't know if you agree, Keith, you can take that nasty pitch in the dirt.
Yep, no question. It is of enormous help.
And there's ball 4, so without, we think, knowing what was coming, Bregman draws a walk. Although, you know, you have to think in this inning with a leadoff double, it's the inning in which you would be most wary if you're DeGrom facing a team that has cheated so extraordinarily in the past.
That's right, and Reddick now has been on second for quite a time. So
now, I don't know whether it would be something that would happen in a digital game, but you have to think that in a real game in this circumstance that Ramos and DeGrom might have changed the sign sequence a few times.
Yeah, exactly. 2 or 3 times.
You know, you got to do your due diligence, and I think Bobby Valentine stated it in the offseason that it's up to the third. Guys are, there's a good called third strike, and I'll be brief here, Garrett, is that you've got to doing your due diligence. If you think they're stealing your signs, you got to change your signs.
11 strikeouts for DeGrom through the first 5 innings as he gets Altuve on a high fastball. Not often you see Altuve that off balance, but that's DeGrom. 1-1 as we go to the 6th. Michael Conforto leads off the 6th inning, and the Astros will start to get their bullpen busy, with Verlander having thrown 92 pitches over the first 5 innings. Conforto is hit into a forced play and been hit by a pitch. 0 for 1 today. And he goes after a first pitch fastball, 0-1. Chris Davinsky on the left and Brad Peacock on the right. Couple of right-handers up in the Houston bullpen. It'll be Conforto, then Pete Alonso, and Yoenis Cespedes, 3, 4, and 5 in the Mets batting order. If you're just joining us, Cespedes making his season debut, his first game since July of 2018. And Luis Rojas has him DHing today, batting 5th in the order, due up 3rd in this inning. And Conforto lifts one along the left field line. A long run for Brantley, right to the stripe, and he gets there to make the catch. Nice play by Brantley. I think he caught it a step into foul territory, but I'm not sure. But that's the first out in the 6th. So 1 out now, Alonso. Pete's delivered the only Met run today with a sacrifice fly. That came in the 1st inning. Then he drew a walk in the 4th.
Well, Pete really showed a lot of discipline for a young hitter last season, and you can see on that left elbow, that big protective white pad that he has, the polar bear pad, it allows him to stay in there. He took more than a few hit by pitches off that elbow, and it doesn't hurt. And I can tell you, I took more than my share in my day, and they hurt when you get hit in the elbow.
Keith, when you've put up the kind of numbers that Alonso did in his rookie season, I mean, just off the charts, best rookie year that anybody's ever had power-wise, it's almost impossible to replicate that. I mean, sure, he might go out and hit 60 home runs this year, but the likelihood is if he has a great season, he'll hit 40 or 45, which is phenomenal. Is there a tendency, though, as a player to feel as though when you've accomplished what he did last year, that anything less is somehow a failure?
Well, I think it's even more magnified as a sophomore season. There's a fly ball to the Canna Del Monte out there in the gap. you have this rookie season. There's no expectations. He wasn't supposed to go north with the team. He goes north and has this phenomenal record-breaking year. And then you come back, you have a winter to think about it. And then, okay, this is expected of me. And, that's where I think the sophomore jinx, I think there is some validity to that, Gare. And I think it's mental. It's more psychological than physical. I just think you put too much pressure on yourself. It'll be very interesting to see how Pete approaches this season.
Verlander falls behind on Cespedes 2-0. Cespedes struck out each of his first 2 at-bats, and he bounces that foul 2-1. Well, any way you slice it, Alonso has become the linchpin of this team, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And that's the part that impresses me even more.
Hey, Gary, you mentioned 40 home runs, 45. 30 home runs is a good year.
And another foul ball off the bat of Cespedes. Looks like he's just trying to get his timing down. Been so long away from seeing an in-game pitch for Yoenis. And he takes strike 3 called, and he's struck out for the 3rd time. So Verlander, probably the end of the line for him, 107 pitches. He fashions a 1-2-3 inning in the top of the 6th, and he probably is done for the night. Now Jacob deGrom back to the mound for the bottom of the 6th, with Yordan Alvarez to lead off. And he takes a changeup for a strike, 0-1. Alvarez struck out in the 1st, then he walked and he scored the only Houston run in the 4th. And he lifts this one out to left center. Right there is J.D. Davis to put it away, 1 out. So 1 out and nobody on in the home 6th. And now Yuli Gurriel, who has been a tough nut for deGrom to crack tonight. Gurriel a single to left in the 2nd. And then a wall-scraping double to drive in the Houston run in the 4th.
Gary, you just mentioned that Verlander probably done for the evening, but deGrom just seems like he's got a lot left in the tank.
Just 84 pitches for deGrom with 1 out in the 6th. Would love to get him through at least 7 tonight. And, of course, they'd love to get him a lead, but that's always the rub with him, right? It doesn't matter how well he pitches. It doesn't seem as though he gets the support from his offense or oftentimes from his bullpen either. But trying to keep the Mets right where they are and give them a chance to get a lead, perhaps against that Houston bullpen, with Verlander likely done for the night. 3-0 to Gurriel. That's a 4-pitch walk. And so Gurriel aboard with 1 out. That's the 3rd walk given up by deGrom. Jake walked 44 batters in 204 innings last year. Here's Springer, who's been up twice and struck out both times. And he takes a curveball for a strike. Springer struck out looking in the 2nd, swinging in the 4th. And Jake misses just low, ball and strike. George Springer, 39 home runs last year, 96 RBIs, predominantly out of the leadoff spot. And he bounces that foul, 1-2.
One of the best players that the University of Connecticut has ever had. They've produced a lot of good players of note recently.
Fly ball out to right, chasing Conforto back onto the warning track. He gets there and he makes the catch. Kind of an odd route to the ball there for Michael. Went back to the fence and then gave some ground.
Well, the digital right fielder makes it tough on the play-by-play guy.
They're not. That tell you what, they're not doing Michael any favors.
So 2 out, and Gurriel's still at first, and here's Correa, who's been up twice and struck out both times. Jake has struck out 11. All of those came in the first 5 innings. And he didn't get the call there at the knees. Ball 1. And Correa ground on the right side. For some reason, goes to second for the force play that retires the side. Another digital strangeness. And so DeGrom is through 6 with the game tied at 1.
I bet you the computer forgot how many outs there were.
I mean, sure, Cano in that situation would always throw the ball to first base. Anyway, here's Chris Davinsky, a former All-Star, who's struggled the last couple of years.
Yeah, he has. 3 years ago, he had such a big year for them, especially with the strikeout. Got a real sharp-breaking slider. Control issues I've heard in the last 2 years.
Ronnie, does he throw the changeup? Is that his big pitch, or the splitter?
He's got a splitter and a slider, so he throws both.
I remember in the 2015 World Series in the postseason, when I worked the postseason, that he had a really good postseason then, and he just loved his off-speed pitch.
16. That was his rookie year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
15, the Mets were in it. Remember that?
That's right. We're all a little rusty. Excuse me.
Verlander went 6, allowed a run on 2 hits. He walked 4, struck out 8. J.D. Davis struck out each of his first 2 at-bats against Verlander, and down in the count this time 1-2. And J.D. chases 1 for strike 3. So in his return to Houston, things have not gone well tonight for J.D. Davis as he fans for the 3rd time.
Ooh, isn't that camera angle sweet? Bet you our producer, Greg Picker, is just licking his chops over that new camera angle.
I would like to know, guys, I understand it's a digital broadcast, but where would that camera be located?
It would have to be buried in the dirt in front of home plate.
It looks like it's raised more than that, doesn't it?
Well,
it would probably be suspended like the ones they use in football. They're the ones that are on the
cable?
Yeah, on the cable.
I don't know how that could happen. I think they'd have to. Remember how they would put a camera by the bases, Gary?
Uh-huh.
I would think if they had that angle, they'd have to bury it in front of home plate.
You know what it almost looked like? It looked like a camera that was shot from the pitcher's cap. You know?
Yeah.
And Cano jumps back from the slider. The ball and 2 strikes. Cano has struck out and walked tonight. 1-1 as we play in the 7th. Wilson Ramos waits on deck. And Cano chases 1 out of the strike zone, so back-to-back strikeouts for Davinsky to start his stint here in the 7th.
Gary, nice start for Davinsky. Remember, everyone talks about the loss of Garrett Cole, but Will Harris was such a big part of that bullpen. He signed with the Nationals. Davinsky is going to have to take some of that workload.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Ramos, who has grounded out and struck out, and he takes a slider for a strike. Well, the Astros have Roberto Osuna to close. Ryan Presley and Joe Smith will be the other big pieces in that bullpen. It's hard to believe that Joe Smith has been around as long as he has. I mean, when he was a Met, he was a kid. And now 14 years later, here he is, one of the long-standing bullpen pieces in all of baseball.
One of the great guys in the game, too. It's too bad that he never had a longer career with the Mets.
He was part of that deal when the Mets picked up J.J. Putz, right?
Yes.
When they got him from Seattle. 2-2 coming to Ramos, and he flies 1 deep to left. Back goes Brantley looking up at the wall, and he'll play the carom off the scoreboard, and Ramos will have to stay at first base with a long single.
Well, Wilson doesn't run well, we know that, and this ball was hit hard off the wall and played perfectly by Brantley, and there was no chance for Ramos to get a double.
Even in the digital world, they mock his speed.
I was wondering whether perhaps the way he lingered in the batter's box that he might have thought he got more of that, and that he was going to clear it, the wall it hit in the Crawford boxes. But in any event, Ramos winds up at first with 2 out for Rosario, who has walked and flied out today 0 for 1. when they recreate these players digitally, do they concentrate on the other stats, if you know what I mean? Like the guys who run hard out of the box, did they run hard out of the box here? We saw earlier Brandon Nimmo walked in this game and did not sprint to first base, so that's a little attention to detail that might have been missing.
I mean, you would think that a group of people would be in charge of each team, and through the course of their investigations would realize that one of the things that makes Nimmo so special is that run to first on a walk.
I will also say this: we have not seen Brandon smile once in this game today, which also, off-putting.
Gary.
That's what we're here for, Keith. We're just trying to realize what we see, right? Ramos will be running 3-2 to Rosario, and Ahmed grounds one foul. Just outside the bag. Gary DeSarcina's getting a little wary down there. He almost got hit by the previous foul ball. And that's too high, ball 4, and Rosario walks for the second time tonight. And so the Mets have 2 on and 2 out with Nimmo coming up.
Another case in point, what video algorithm has Rosario walking twice in a game? Very nice.
Now, Dusty Baker has the left-hander, Framber Valdez. That's not him, that's Orbit. Valdez warming up in the bullpen, but it looks like he's going to stay with the right-hander, Davinsky, to pitch to Nimmo. Got 3 left-hand hitters in a row, Nimmo, McNeil, and Conforto. So you would think if you have a left-hander available, you'd go to him, but Davinsky gets the fly ball from Nimmo. Reddick puts it away, and that retires the side. 7th inning stretch time. Doesn't mean we're going to pause. Mets 1, Astros 1. See, no pause. Josh Reddick leads off the bottom of the 7th. Michael Wacha up in the bullpen. This was supposed to be Wacha's day to start, but with the off day yesterday, they skipped him and went right to DeGrom on regular rest as Reddick takes a strike. So Wacha available in the bullpen today. He's up along Walker Lockett. Reddick doubled to right center his last time up, 1 for 2 tonight. And he takes a fastball strike. 0-2.
Interesting to have 2 guys that are more known as starting pitchers up in the bullpen in the 7th inning.
Yeah, you would normally figure that once you get past 6, then some combination of Familia, Betances, and Diaz is what you're going to see the rest of the way. Two coming. Is Cash providing commentary, Ronnie?
Oh, can you hear him in the background? I you know what? We've had him silent for too long.
Hey, Ronnie, no family in the booth. Let's go. Not in game.
3-2 is inside, ball 4. DeGrom really upset with himself. He had Reddick 0-2, and he loses him to a leadoff walk.
That looks like a good pitch there.
So now you got the same situation, or a similar situation to what you had in the 5th. You got the number 9 hitter Stubbs coming up. They declined to bunt with him in the 5th. More likely in the 7th.
Let him swing.
Stubbs has been up twice, struck out both times against DeGrom, and he does square and gets the bunt down. Alonso gonna try for second, and he gets the force play.
Very nicely done, Petey.
Alonso aggressively going after the lead man Reddick and gets the first out.
No, that ball was bunted too hard, but nonetheless, no hesitation from Pete. Very aggressive play. You want to get that lead run. Don't want that go-ahead run in scoring position.
So 3-6 on the fielder's choice. 1 out. Stubbs now at first, and here's Brantley. Brantley's 1 for 3 at a base hit back in the first. DeGrom just over 100 pitches now for the night. Likely his last inning of work. Verlander went 6. DeGrom trying to get through 7. And this has been every bit the pitcher's battle we expected, with the matchup of the two defending Cy Young Award winners in DeGrom and Verlander. And he's ahead now on Brantley, 1-2. One-two coming, and it's up and in. 2-2. Brantley spent 10 years in Cleveland, oft injured the last few seasons there. Now in his second year with the Astros. Going to check in on Stubbs.
See if Dusty puts him in motion with full count.
And Brantley goes down swinging, and that is the 12th strikeout of the night for Jacob DeGrom.
This looked like a high slider from DeGrom that fooled Brantley up and in.
Tied him up, set him down. So 2 outs, Stubbs still at first, and now Alex Bregman. Bregman's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. And he takes a slider out of the zone for ball 1. Bregman takes a strike. Here's Luis Rojas, managing his first 2 digital weeks in the big leagues. Trying to bust out of an early hole. Mets are 2-7 to start the digital season. And a bouncer on the right side, and Cano again goes for the forced play, only in digital world, but that retires the side. So DeGrom gets through 7 with a dozen strikeouts. A 1-1 game as we head to the 8th.
There's the pumpkins.
There you go, Keith. You've been waiting all day for that. They're really oranges, folks. They're just large oranges. Left-hander Framber Valdez comes on to pitch for the Astros as we go to the 8th.
Now, Gary mentioned that he thought he would be brought in to face Conforto in the last inning, but Davinsky retired Conforto, but he's got to face right off the bat Jeff McNeil.
It'll be McNeil leading off in the 8th. He's gone 1 for 3 tonight on a base hit back in the first. And he bounces one foul, 0-1. Valdez, 26 years old, made 8 starts for the Astros last year among his 26 appearances. And that one's rolled on the left side. Bregman playing in the shift, throws out McNeil, and that's the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Mike Conforto. Conforto was hit by a pitch in the 4th, 0 for 2. Chris Davinsky worked an inning after Verlander went the first 6. And now Valdez, the 3rd Houston pitcher of the night. He pours a fastball in. Brian Abreu on the left, Brad Peacock on the right. A couple of right-handers up in the Houston bullpen. You got Alonso and Cespedes to follow after Conforto, so this could be Valdez's final batter.
Gary, you got to reintroduce Ron over there to the cough button.
Do we have cough buttons? Digital cough buttons. Need to get Richie Rayner on the case.
I mean, I've never coughed into a pillow during the game. That's what I'm doing to try to muffle it.
1-2 coming, and Conforto takes it down, 2-2. And he's able to fight that one off. Tough pitch from Valdez.
Yeah, Valdez, a little 3-quarter delivery, got a little sinker that he likes to run down and in against the lefties.
Mix in that curveball as well. And that one misses inside with a full count to Conforto with Alonso to follow. 1 game as we play to the 8th. It's got their run in the first inning. Astros tied it in the 4th. 3-2 coming to Conforto. And he grounds one through the hole and into right center for a base hit. So Conforto with a one-out single, and the Mets have the tie-breaking run aboard with one out.
Well, that's the last of the left-hand hitters now outside of Cano. You got 3 straight right-handers coming up. Let's see if Dusty Baker makes a move for a right-hander in the pen.
Well, this is an interesting move by Digital Luis Rojas, bringing in Jake Marisnick to run for Michael Conforto. It's not something you would normally expect in a tie game, but with Conforto just recently back from injury, perhaps it makes a little bit more sense.
Interesting, Valdez left in the game to face Alonso.
That is a little curious, isn't it?
Three
Two right-handers ready in the bullpen. Alonso has driven in the only Met run with a sac fly. He's also drawn a walk and flied out 0 for 1. Cespedes to follow. Marisnick, the pinch runner at first. And Alonso comes up empty. 2-1.
You know, Gary, you mentioned about Marisnick running for Conforto just coming back, but maybe that's Rojas' style, is to play a little more aggressive with speed late in the game.
Well, certainly Marisnick gives you speed, defense. Although, if you had a lead late, you might want to save Marisnick to take J.D. Davis's spot defensively, as opposed to using him in this spot to run for Conforto. Alonso works out the walk, and that'll push the tie-breaking run to second. So the Mets in business here in the 8th. Conforto at second, Alonso at first with one out. And now Cespedes with a chance to do some damage, having struck out in each of his first 3 at-bats, coming back from injury just tonight. And again, they're going to lead the lefty in to face Cespedes with another right-hand hitter, J.D. Davis, on deck. So Dusty Baker putting faith in his young lefty to try and get the right-handers out. And he gets the first pitch curveball and gets a big swing from Cespedes, 0-1.
In the digital world, probably no pitching coach meeting except now.
I wonder how much Dusty is being second-guessed by his digital Twitter followers who opine about the Astros.
You know, he's got an alibi.
Strike 3 called, and he gets Cespedes looking for the second out.
He's got an alibi, Garrett. This is the software. It's programmed.
So the golden sombrero for Cespedes in his return to action, and that'll bring up J.D. Davis with 2 out and 2 on. It has been a strained homecoming for J.D., his first game back in Houston since the Astros dealt him away, and he has struck out in each of his first 3 at-bats. But a chance here to deliver the tie-breaking run with 2 out and 2 on in the 8th. And Valdez misses up and away, 2-0.
It's the perfect 1 for 4, Gary. You look bad. Your first 3 at bats, you come up late with the game on the line, chance to put your team ahead. That's the beautiful 1 for 4.
And a fastball in for a strike, 2-1. JD, 22 home runs last year. Drove in 57 runs. Really had a terrific season. OPS just under 900. And this is in. Full count. So that'll get the runners in motion. Marisnick and Alonso will be running with 3-2 and 2 down. 3-2 coming from Valdez. And Davis lines one into left center field. That's a base hit. Around third comes Marisnick. He will score the tie-breaking run. Stopping at second is Alonso. J.D. Davis back in Houston delivers the go-ahead hit in the 8th, and the Mets lead 2-1.
Well, got a fastball, looked like up and out over the plate. A mistake. He stayed nice and level on it, and as I mentioned earlier, that is a redemption 1 for 4 right there. Puts the Mets ahead.
So the Mets with the lead. Now Cano looking for more, and he takes the fastball high 1-0. Robbie's 0 for 2 and a walk. So you got Alonso at second now. Davis at first with 2 down with a run home here in the 8th. And Cano hits it hard, and that's into right field for a base hit. Alonso around third, heading home. Cut by Gurriel, throwing home, and Alonso is out at the plate. Gurriel cutting the throw from Reddick and relaying it home to Stubbs, and they cut down the insurance run. The Mets, though, take the lead on the J.D. Davis RBI single, and they lead 2-1 going to the bottom of the eighth.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please.
Nick Marisnick will stay in the game and play right field after running for Conforto and scoring the go-ahead run. So it was the two former Astros who combined to get that lead run home, with Davis driving in Marisnick, and now Dylan Betances will try and make the lead stand up in the bottom of the eighth.
I'm still trying to get used to a world where Jacob deGrom leads the game and he gets a run.
Yeah, it must be an alternative universe. So now Betances facing Altuve. That's the long and the short of it, as Altuve's gone 0 for 3 today. Flied out, grounded out, struck out. And Altuve grounds one toward the hole. Nice backhand play by Rosario. And good stretch by Alonso for the first out.
Yeah, that's a play that Rosario has really worked hard on, the backhand. When he first came up, he was a little shaky with the backhand. Always tried to play around the ball, and that's something he's worked on now, and that's a beautiful backhand right there, 6-3 on your scorecard.
Traffic count 109 straight across.
Gary, are you a little surprised that Luis Rojas put Marisnick in right field, didn't flip-flop, put him in center, and move Neno to right?
That's a good
That
call.
was kind of the program, wasn't it, to get more defense for center field?
Jordan Alvarez 0 for 2 and a walk today. He scored the only Houston run. And Betances misses low with the fastball. Well, Dylan Betances trying to show that he is still the 4-time All-Star and not the guy who just 2/3 of an inning last year, as Alvarez finds the hole and grounds one into right center for a base hit. And so the Astros have the tying run aboard.
Alvarez on base a couple of times. When Betances is at his best, we're talking about 96 plus and a wipeout slider, but Alvarez with a good swing there.
Lyle Straw, who might be the fastest man in baseball, will run for Alvarez at first, carrying the tying run. And now Gurriel, who has not been retired tonight, single, double, and a walk. He drove in the only Houston run. And he takes the slider low and in for ball one. So a big spot here for Betances with the tying run aboard, and Gurriel, who's having a big night at the plate. One 0 coming. Grounded out to Rosario. The glove flip for one. Cano on to first. Dug out by Alonso. Side retired. 6-4-3 double play gets Betances through the bottom of the eighth. Slickly done by Rosario. And Alonso pulling one out of the dirt to make it stick at the other end. And that sends us to the top of the ninth, and Brad Peacock, the veteran right-hander, will come on to pitch for Houston.
He's really been their swingman since he's been in the organization. Can start, relieve. Remember, in the 2017 World Series, he played a big part in that bullpen.
Here's Wilson Ramos, who singled off the wall and left his last time up, 1 for 3. Mets looking for some insurance in the ninth before presumably handing it off to Edwin Diaz, and a fly ball out to right. And Reddick eases over to get it. One pitch and one retired for Peacock in the ninth.
The batter, number 1, shortstop Ahmed Rosario.
And that'll bring up Ahmed Rosario, who's walked twice in this game, batting in the 9 hole. Also flied to center, 0 for 1. 32-year-old Brad Peacock, who was originally drafted by the Washington Nationals in the 41st round. Now in his 8th year with the Astros. And a slider off the plate. 1-1. Brandon Nimmo waits on deck. Peacock, the 4th Houston pitcher of the night. Justin Verlander went the first 6, allowed a run on 2 hits. And changeup misses, 2-1. Chris Davinsky worked a scoreless inning. Framber Valdez gave up the lead run in the 8th. And that's hacked and missed. 2-2 to Rosario. And Ahmed bounces one on the right side. Gurriel makes the play, and that's the second out. In the bottom of the ninth, the Astros will have Springer, Correa, and Reddick due up. Edwin Diaz is getting ready in the Mets bullpen. Here's Nimmo, who's had a nice night. Walked and singled, 1 for 3. And Brandon takes a fastball away for ball 1. Brandon got his base hit to left field in the 5th inning. And he goes the other way this time. And that's going to be beyond the reach of Brantley and bouncing to the warning track. Nimmo heads for second, and he's got his second opposite field hit of the night. This one a double.
2 for 4 night for Brandon, who came into the game hitting 184. He's got to feel good about this game, his performance tonight, trying to get on track in this young season.
And a digitally youthful Dusty Baker is going to issue an intentional walk to Jeff McNeil. I have to say the digital designers have been very kind to Dusty. So now 2 on, and Jake Marisnick, who, remember, pinch ran for Conforto and stayed in right field, will bat. And I'm sure that informed Dusty's decision to put McNeil on base. If it's Conforto up in this spot, perhaps he plays a little differently. So Marisnick, the former Astro, takes a hack and misses, and it's 0-2. Jake Marisnick was deeply apologetic for the Astros cheating scandal when he arrived at spring training with the Mets this year. Probably about as emotional as any of the Astros or former Astros that I'm aware of. And he goes down on strikes, and that's how the top of the ninth comes to an end. Mets strand a pair against Peacock, and now they'll hand it off to Edwin Diaz to try and save it. 2-1 New York as we head to the bottom of the ninth. Here's Edwin Diaz looking for the save opportunity in a 1-run game.
See 2 for 3 and saves and opportunities this year for Diaz. It's imperative that he gets off to a quick start.
In this young digital season that has seen the Mets go 2-7, they have 3 extra inning losses. Trying to avoid extra innings today. And Springer jumps back from a fastball that didn't come close, ball 1. Springer's gone 0 for 3 today. Hit one deep to right his last time up that Conforto caught. Correa and Reddick to follow for the Astros in the ninth. And Springer lines one, caught by McNeil, had him play perfectly right on the line, and he grabs it for the first out.
I tell you what, in today's game, we've seen the rule in our day was 7th inning on, 1 run. The tying run coming to the plate or on base, you guard the line. Well, there the Mets were guarding the line and got the line drive out. It was a leadoff double, but not guarding the line.
And Correa takes one below the knees, ball 1. Carlos Correa 0 for 3 in this game, struck out twice and hit into a forced play. And the 100-mile-an-hour fastball just off the plate, and it's 2-0. Finds the top of the zone with that one. Ronnie, the digital pitch readings on Diaz are indicating 2-seam fastball. Does he throw a 2-seam fastball?
No. I mean, his ball will react and will run in on the right-handed hitter, but it's not a 2-seamer. It's a 4-seamer. He just, because of his hand position and 3/4 delivery, that ball will run away from lefties and into righties.
Well, he's behind on Correa 3-1. And he gets that one in for a strike, and it's a full count. We haven't seen him throw a slider yet.
Especially that count 3-1. Looks like he might have taken a little off that fastball.
3-2 coming, and Correa lifts one out to left. J.D. Davis going back into the nook, and he has room to make the catch.
Oh, boy.
That is a difficult part of the ballpark to negotiate, going around that scoreboard and into that little nook in front of the bullpen.
That is 15 feet more to the left towards the line, and that ball's a home run.
So the Astros are down to their final out. 2 out and nobody on for Josh Reddick, who has doubled and walked tonight, 1 for 2. And Diaz starts him off with a strike. First time in 3 batters that Diaz has thrown a first pitch strike. Digital Diaz trying to lock it down for his 3rd save of the year. Trying to save it for DeGrom. And he missed just below the knees. The ball. Jake went 7, allowed 4 hits, struck out 12. And there's strike 2. And so the Astros are down to their final strike. 1-2 coming. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Edwin Diaz puts on the finishing touches, and Luis Rojas and the Mets able to celebrate their 2nd straight digit win as DeGrom outbattles Verlander. J.D. Davis comes back to Houston with the game-winning hit in the 8th, and the Mets beat the Astros 2-1.
Well, DeGrom now has 2 wins of the 3 wins for the Mets and 2 ex-Astros. J.D. Davis driving in, Jake Marisnick with the go-ahead run gets DeGrom and the Mets their 3rd win. And
DeGrom doing what an ace has to do. The Mets coming to the game 2-7, had a win the last game. It was an important win to get to 3-7.
And certainly the Mets hope that this is a harbinger of things to come for DeGrom, that he can not only be brilliant, but that they can win games on the days that he pitches, Ronnie. Imagine what the limit might be for the Mets and DeGrom if they're able to score on the days that he pitches.
Well, Keith said it in the open. You know, the starting pitching has been excellent for the Mets. Continued tonight with DeGrom. If that offense kicks in, that's when I think you're going to see the starters getting a lot of those wins.
So the Mets improved to 3-7 on the digital season. The action continues on SNY.TV tomorrow. On Wednesday night, Marcus Stroman pitches against Zach Greinke in the 2nd game of this series. Now, for Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling, I'm Gary Cohen. We'll see you down the road on another one of these digital broadcasts.